Hello, dear friends. I have not talked much about the inner rebel or the saboteur for a while. And I think I want to address that today. I'm often being inspired. So many of my sessions here, or yeah, many of them, not all for sure, are inspired by my sessions with my clients and, of course, with myself. And so this whole thing about the saboteur who gets in the way of our moving ahead into where we really want to go, who we want to become. There's this little sneaky rebel there in the background, this little sneaky saboteur who just keeps getting in the way, and we never reach where we want to go. Now, these little guys in the back, they are very sneaky. They are kind of very silent in a way, and they operate in our unconscious. And we're not aware of that unless we go there. So, of course, that is why I think that doing this deeper work that I offer as a Hakomi therapist and a self-love mentor, and many others are offering in their specific flavor of coaching or therapy, we need to go there. We need to make the unconscious conscious until these little sneaky guys have been made conscious. They will ruin your progress over and over and over to the point where you get so frustrated that you throw in the towel, you doubt yourself, you don't think you can ever make the changes, you believe there's something flawed about you. There's all these stories that we create because we have not made this little background guy conscious. So let's talk a little bit about this inner rebel that gets in the way, or the saboteur that is sabotaging your progress. It's a very, very common thing, I'm sure you know. And sometimes we just wonder, what is wrong with me? Is there some kind of a bad spell placed on me? Why can't I move forward? But it is this unconscious inner dialogue. I talk about these hypnotic suggestions, programs that just do their thing just silently. It's like a whisper, but it's more than a whisper because your whole body can hear it. So it's not necessarily words, it's the feeling. And it's like a resistance. And many times with the rebel, it goes like, nobody's going to tell me what to do. And what we do then is we engage with the rebel and say, okay, you're right. Nobody's going to tell me what to do, even though, I've set my goals. I got this whole thing planned out. I got the help and support. And then there's underlying, like, no, nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm in charge. Nobody's in charge of me. And of course, that can come from, a childhood thing. I certainly had plenty of it because my dad always wanted to tell me what to do with an amazing amount of anger and rage and blame and shame. So I'm like, F you, ain't happening here. So I was a rebel. I had a lot of rebel energy in me as I grew up that I had to kind of be present with. I still have a big rebel in me, but it's not in order to be a rebel to go against my own truth, but I would say I'm rebelling if outer programs are placed on me that do not resonate with my truth. And so there is something very important about coming back over and over again to really get in touch with What is it that you really, really want, that you can feel in your heart? There's such a big difference between being told what to do, you should do. I did talk a little bit about my online program called, used to be called the 40-day should free mind cleanse. You can watch that here. And because I created that years ago because I had to face my own shoulds, my own rebels, and I didn't like them, but nobody was going to tell me what to do. And it did get in the way, of course, of me becoming myself. I was kind of stuck in this, don't tell me what to do. So I was stuck in a program or in an identity that was actually very dense and not very supportive. It's kind of a mimic of freedom, right? But it's not real freedom because you're in rebellion against something. And that's not going to bring freedom. Freedom is found here by following your inner truth, your inner freedom, your inner longing, your inner God connection, your inner guidance. That to me is freedom. Maybe it's different for you. I don't know. But that to me is freedom, where I come into my deep divine sovereignty and let that guide my way. And nothing is going to get in the way of that. No inner rebels. No. But I had to work through that. So I totally understand that phase that we need to go through. But this phase, it can be prolonged if we don't go in and look at, well, what is it actually? Why am I in this rebel mode? Why am I in this young 5, 10, 15, 20-year old, identity that's just rebelling against maybe my parents, maybe the government? We can stay in that battle, battling everything and anything for the rest of our lives, thinking it's freedom, but of course it's not freedom. It's being locked into an identity that is just against rebelling, that's there's no freedom in that. But my invitation is to bring out that unconscious saboteur, rebel, and get to know it. Right. So it's running your life behind the scene. It was running my life behind the scene. And when I took a good look at it, in those days, I would call it my inner teenager who was like, this was when I stopped eating sugar. I wanted to stop eating sugar. And I was starting out, and then there's like, nobody's going to tell me what to do. I want my sugar. And so I had to have a real conversation and have a relationship with this. So it was just not running my life behind the scene. So I brought it forward and I was like, okay, here you are. And then I had to really find out, what did it really want? And it really wanted freedom. And any rebel wants freedom. And you don't even have to be a rebel because we all want freedom at the core. Maybe not all. There's probably people who like to be rather be safe and protected by, maybe energies that are not so good. But there can be a sense of false safety in that. And again, we have choice in everything. But for those of us who really want freedom, I would say honor that in yourself. Honor that you want to be free. Now you are in touch with what the rebel wants for you, but the rebel's way is not working. A rebel rebels. That's not freedom. It may feel powerful, and that can feel good, that it's usually, it might be a hit, of like, I've power. No, I'm not going to do what they tell me to do. It can feel very empowering, but underneath there is some kind of a collapsed part that has not been able to rise up and say, you know what? This is what I want. I don't want to fight against that. I don't want to fight against myself telling me I should do something. I want to do it because this is really what I want. And you may already know where we're going. We're going to the longing. What we deeply long for, that is where we need to go, not the surface ones. They're fine, but eventually they will take you down to find out, well, these surface ones, they they want something. We want to feel peace, we want to feel connected, we want to feel free. So they're all wanting the same, but we need to dive deeper and deeper into that place where we find out, well, when I have all these things or avoid all these things, then I feel free, then I feel at peace. That's what you want. And I think until we really get to that place of what we want and really, really embrace it, it's way too easy to get into the battle and the rebellion and the sabotaging ourselves by being out here not knowing that another part of us is running the show, and it's preventing us from becoming who we want to be, which is really who we already are. But it's all covered with all this nonsense that we have been programmed with for a long time. So, my friend, if you know that there is a part of you that's getting in your way over and over, get curious. Get to know this part that's getting in the way. Don't just ignore it, or don't just say, oh, yeah, I don't, whatever. It's like, no, let us really find out what, who is that? What is that? What kind of an energy is that? What kind of a suggestion is that that keeps pulling you out of your direct path to the divine, to your true expression, to peace, to fulfillment, to love, whatever you want. We need to bring that one out of the shadows. See, this is shadow work, right? Because they're in the shadows. So we want to bring that part of us into the light of our awareness, into our consciousness, with a curiosity, not with a wanting to beat it up, but with a curiosity where we can go, okay, so I see, you're really fighting this or whatever. And then as we go deeper, we find, of course, what it is that that rebel wants. Freedom. Take it in here. I want to be free. I just want to be free. And I thought the only way I could feel free was by going against everything. And it's not going to get you freedom. It's just going to keep you stuck in a loop where you're always fighting something, yourself in particular. So you won't be reaching what you really deeply long for. And of course, the reason for my channel here is that I want us all to live in that place of peace and sovereignty and joy and connection. It's my own path, unraveling what's getting in my way, sharing with you so that it might be helpful for you. So today is just a nice little exposing of that saboteur or inner rebel, the one that fights. Can you feel that? Do you have a fighter in you? It's like, the things that are happening in the world, you might hear it on the news or on a YouTube channel, and it just brings up like, that's that fighter. That's that fighter that wants freedom. But it's not going to help just by letting it come up and surface and if you really know what you want freedom, then feel that. And then maybe you want to go and do something in the world to bring that freedom more into this dimension. Or you want to use that sense, I want to be free, to clear out everything inside of you that's getting in the way of you feeling free. So you don't have to battle all the time. I want to just take a breath here. Yeah. So I always invite you to like, share, subscribe, and also comment. Can you relate to the inner rebel or the saboteur? Is it something you've been doing for a long time and you haven't quite known how to not do it? Or maybe you didn't even know you did it. You really thought that you were fighting for freedom, but you were basically creating your own prison by that rebelling. So share whatever, is your experience. It's always lovely to hear from you. And you need support in that, I'm here for that. You can sign up for a self-discovery session if you feel moved to go and dive some deeper so you can get in touch with what truly matters to you. And just in my experience, the more of us who live from the heart, from the deepest longing, which is the divine expression, this is our divine calling, the more of us do that, we start bringing out a new energy to the world. We start dismantling the duality, the false sense of self, the false matrix. We start dismantling that and it just starts dissolving. And then more and more people are able to live like that. And that is, in my experience, how we can create a new world. And from that, there still might be some people who really feel motivated to go and do some amazing work in the world, whether it's small or big, but let it come from your inner unfolding for what you want instead of fighting what you don't want. Thank you, my friends. I'll see you again soon.